Hey YouTubers, let's get this out of the way first. I'm about to build a propane burner for a forge. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. I'm not going to take responsibility when you build one. You do your research like I did. Look around on YouTube, weed out the riffraff, and pick your own design for your burner. I got a bunch of parts here. Let's get building. Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my shop. Looks like I am planning on building a propane burner for a propane forge. Actually, I got the stuff, just about everything I need to make two of them, and I'll probably make a third. What I've got is a 3/4 to 1 inch cast iron fitting, a piece of 3/4 inch pipe 6 inches long, a 3/4 to 1.5 inch pipe. I've got a 0.23 MIG tip. That's just a plug that I'll be drilling out and threading for the tip. 1/8 inch brass T, 2 1/8 inch pieces of pipe with a cap on one end. This end here will have a 1/8 to 1/4 adapter, a 1/4 inch elbow, 1/4 inch piece of pipe. Let me get some measurements because I don't remember what I bought. That must be a 2.5 inch piece of 1/8. That is a 3 inch piece of 1/4. I've got another piece of 3/4 inch, 3 inch over here. I've got a shut off. I got a street elbow and 1/4. It's female and male, so it'll screw into this shut off. There's a T here. This is where the gas will go in. Then this is where it goes over to the next burner. I may have to lengthen those to separate the burners a little bit. I don't know yet. I've never built one of these. I've watched videos on YouTube on how to do it, and I'm assuming that that makes me an expert. So we'll see. You see some parts here, that's for the other burner, and I got some parts right there for the other burner. First thing I'm going to do is get this all lined up in my mill and drill a hole through there so these pieces of pipe will go through here, and then I'm going to turn it up like that and drill it and tap it for set screws to lock that in position, because you want that jet shooting right dead square down the center. Let's go over to the mill. Okay, this is not the proper way to do things if you're looking for, you know, down to the thousandths accuracy. But on this job, I don't think we need down to the thousandths accuracy. What I did was I put a piece of 1/2 inch round in my chuck for on my mill. I pushed this up against it, so now I'm straight up and down with this piece of rod. So when I drill through here, it'll come through the same place on the bottom side. At least that's the plan. I've got a V-block here, a small one, and a V-block here to hold that securely in place. And I'm going to tighten up my vise if I didn't already do it. It's good and tight. Now, what I'm going to do is put a mill in my drill chuck, which is usually a no-no, but in this case I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to mill a little half round on this rim here. Let me move you around the other side so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, you see this little collar right here? I'm going to mill a little half round in there to get myself up a little closer to the top edge of this piece of pipe, so that when I drill it and tap it for my set screw for holding that piece of 1/8 inch copper or brass tubing, it'll be a little more secure, and the threads, the screw won't come out the bottom side of this from this screw. It'll all be inside that collar. I've got it lined up here. I've already found my center this way. So now what I got to do is raise this up, take that out, put my milling cutter in, and like I said, this isn't precision work here. It's just ballpark, you know, Now I'm going to come down here, make sure I'm going to clear everything. Turn my mill on, then I'll come down and touch off on the side of this fitting, and then I'm just going to come in here and mill. It's not going to be half round, but it's just going to get me in there a little closer to this top edge when I drill that hole. Okay, there I've touched the bottom. I'm going to lock it in, a little oil on it, and just go in to create a little bit of a divot there. A little bit more. Okay, that ought to be good. Let's see if I can show you. Can you see that little bit of a round right there? That's all I wanted. Release that. Now let's take that out. Okay, I've got a 30 drill bit. That's the size of the OD on that 1/8 inch brass tubing. We're going to use my starter drill here, and we're going to get a little hole started. That will help us keep this drill bit starting right where we want it. And get it on a good straight path towards the other side. I'm going to move you back over to the other side so you can see what I'm doing from there. Now I'm just going to go right straight on down. And ease it in there because I want it to go straight. Don't want those threads trying to kick my drill bit off to the side. Go. Let me get my vacuum cleaner and vacuum that all up before it gets spread all over my shop, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, as a quick little side note, years ago, and we're talking 30, close to 40 years ago, when I inherited my grandpa's tools, I painted all the tools that were mine with a little squirt of green so they wouldn't get mixed up. I don't know if you can see that green paint on there. Now you can, I think. That was my grandpa, one of my grandpa's little center drills, and I am now using one of my grandpa's little tap wrenches, and that tap was his also. So all my grandpa's tools are in my shop that I inherited, and I'm using them, and I love the fact that I've got my grandpa's things, and he was the one that bought this, and he used this, 40 years ago when he was a tool and die maker. And now here I am tinkering around in my shop using his tools. But that are now mine, and hopefully someday they will go on to one of my kids. So what I did was I put a little punch mark on the top of this piece of cast iron. I sanded it down because the top was pretty rough and uneven, so I had at least a decent spot to punch. Now I'm going to use that little center drill and get it exactly where I want it, and then I'm just going to center drill a little spot there real carefully, because that is tiny. And all I need is a little dimple there for my drill bit to go into. Now I'm going to take that out. Come on. And put a drill bit in there, and this is a number 36 is what my chart called for, and I'm tapping these for 6 32 set screws. Now I read somewhere a while back that machinists don't like using 632 because it's very weak. You got a little tiny drill bit, you got a little tiny tap, and you're going to use little tiny set screws, and it's just kind of weak. They always like to go up to at least 7 or 8. But this, I'm going to use 6s. I've got to drill through to that hole where the pipe is going to go through, the 8-inch pipe. And we're just going to take it slow and easy. Right there where it comes through, that's where you break a lot of drill bits, right when it pokes through. Okay, now I'm going to raise this clear up, take that drill bit out, and this is where it kind of gets touchy. If I would have raised everything up before I started, I could have used one of these in the chuck, which would then help me center my tap right straight down over the hole. But I didn't want to have to do that, so what I'm doing is opening up my chuck, bringing this down. I didn't tighten it up very tight. It's just to hold that thing straight up and down while I start this tap. And that's a little Molly D. I like that Molly D as a for cutting threads. It just works real nice. I always get good threads. Now this is going to get me started vertically so I don't get all cockeyed with my threads. And we're just going to tap it real slow and easy. Make sure you back it off every now and then to snap off any little burr you're creating. Okay, now we're free of the chuck, but we've already got the hole started straight. We just want to come out the bottom into that hole, which I think we just did. Yep. Now I'll get it to full thread. There, we're good. Now we just got to do this 3 more times. One more for this one and 2 for the other one. I'll bring you back when we start the next step. Okay, right there is that 1/8 inch plug. What I want to do is drill and tap this so my 023 MIG tip will screw in there, and that needs to be 1/4 28 thread. How to hold this in my lathe to drill it. Let's take a look. What I did was I put a coupling, brass coupling for the 1/8 inch in there in the jaws, and then I screwed that in until it was snug. Then I need to put, oh, what drill bit was it? I think it was an 8. Quarter 28. A 3. Number 3 drill bit. In my chuck. But before I use that, see what you can see here. You can't even see my drill chuck. Just widen it up a little bit. I took the drill chuck out, and I'm going to put this chuck in. This has got my center drill. Slide everything up here. Lock the tailstock. Get her spinning. And just give us a little bitty place to start our. That's a good place to start our drill. Now we back this back out. Take that off. Excuse me, I gotta reach over in front of you. I think I've got a visitor. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I gotta apologize. I just had a visitor in the shop and forgot what I was doing and went ahead and drilled that hole. So I got the hole drilled. Now I'm going to, where's it at? There it is. This is my guide for my tap. I'm just going to put it in the chuck of my tailstock. There it is. And then I take my tap, run this clear down here out of the way. Run this right into the back end of that. It isn't quite perfect, but it'll work. Put a little Molly D tap. No, that's not the Molly D. That was just cutting fluid, which wouldn't hurt anything, but Molly D is now a little thinner. And put a little pressure on there, and we're going to tap that little plug. Okay, I don't know if you saw it or not, but that plug started to turn. So we're going to stick this little crescent wrench on there. Doesn't take much to hold it. It's just going to screw into that coupling there, 1/8 inch coupling. We're pretty much through now. Let's back this out. Now, I don't know how you guys treat your taps and stuff, but I take a toothbrush and over a trash can, clean all those chips out so if that oil dries up, you won't have a bunch of stuck on goober on your tap. So there's that one done. Here's my 023. Get this out of the way. 023 MIG tip. My hands are a little greasy, but it's screwing right in there. There she is all the way home, with the little orifice for the propane to come shooting out of. What's next? Okay, a little change in plans. There's the inlet where the gas will be blowing in and it can draw air in. I was wondering how I'd be able to shut this off, because sometimes you want to maybe not use one of the burners and you want to close it off so the heat doesn't come out through there. And my friend Jeremy told me that he saw a guy drill it and tap it and just make a little cover that will swing around and cover it. So I center part punched both of these, and I'm going to drill it and tap it for 832 so I can put a screw on it, or maybe some kind of, probably a screw, and then I'll make a little circle with a hole in it here so I can put it on there and just swing it in if I want to cover it, and swing it back out if I want it open. Thought it was a good idea, so I'm headed to the mill. Okay, right here's one of the burners put together. Should I put this in my lathe and turn those threads off the inside to stop any turbulence coming out, or are turbulence good? I could actually bevel it so it is actually a flare. Give me your ideas on that. These two little set screws, when I tightened them down, my jet on the bottom side here was not quite centered like I'd like it. I could not budge it pushing on it. I had to loosen those set screws, and it still was kind of hard. I didn't loosen them all the way up, but it was still kind of hard to move it. So when I lock that down, it ain't moving. And it's dead center down in there. I've got all this tightened up real tight. I got this one tightened up as tight as I could get it with a pipe wrench on here, and this in my vise. This in here is just hand screwed on in case I want to put it in my lathe and cut that out. Plus I'm thinking on the top of the forge body, just making the hole the size for this so that would slip in, then I could tack weld it to hold it there at the height I want it, whatever that would be. I don't know because I haven't built my forge yet. But as you can see, I drilled and tapped that for 832. Now I can make a little cover for this. Coming along.